Hello and welcome to another video. In this case, we're going to discuss working with deferrals and comments in IBM InfoSphere MDM Inspector. My name's Tyson Carter, and I get a lot of questions about how deferrals and comments work within the inspector tasks. So let's talk about that. First off, when you're working a normal task, most tasks only take a couple of minutes. So you do your investigation, you inspect things, and typically you come to a fairly quick resolution. But sometimes there's a task that you'll encounter that you just need to put off. Maybe you just don't have enough time, you're really, really busy, or maybe you're going to have to do a lot of extra research and you need to dig in, put out some feelers, and see what's going on. Now, when it comes to passing on a task, you may take a task and you may have to pass it on to other people as well. So I may defer a task to one user who defers it to another, and then it eventually comes back to me. If that's the pattern that needs to happen, you can leave comments between each step so that people can help you understand what they found, what they saw, or maybe you're just waiting to hear back from someone, and that comment lets you know what stage you were at, or if someone else looks at the task, lets them know what stage you were at. So let's go ahead and take a look at the tasks. Here we are in IBM InfoSphere MDM Inspector. I've gone ahead and done a search for potential duplicate tasks. So let's open up Franklin Fonsdoc here. Now, when we look at Franklin's data, we see that there are two entities, one with Vernon Fonsdoc, the other with two records, Franklin H and Franklin H. Now, at face value, we might say, oh, these probably aren't the same person. But if we dig a little deeper into the data, what we can see here is that the address, phone number, and social security number are exactly the same, and the date of birth is just off by 1 year, but it's the same month and date. This is a classic example of where I might need to do a little bit more research. So I might search out, look to the administrators of the different systems where this data is coming from, see if maybe they have a scan of a driver's license or something that would help us understand if these are the same person or if these are actually siblings or whatnot. So in this case, let's go ahead and defer this task. So to defer the task, we would choose Deferred as our task status. I'm going to go ahead and apply this to all the records because there's really multiple tasks going on here. That's what this icon indicates to us. And when we defer, it's a good idea to indicate a comment to let other people know or ourselves know exactly what action we took. So let's say we have reached out to source B admin. And so we're waiting on a response from the source B administrator. I'm going to go ahead and save that, and now that task is saved. But it was deferred. So a deferred task means that I'm going to come back to it later on. By deferring it, it also sets the owner of the task to be the current user. So I can actually search for tasks using those kinds of criteria. So one of the things I could do is search for deferred tasks. And when I simply search for deferred tasks, I see the Vernon and Franklin tasks there. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to open it up. When I open up the task, in this case, maybe I've gotten the call back, I've received more information, and I'm told that these are not the same person. So because they're not the same person, I might just go ahead, mark this as resolved, leave everything where it is, and go ahead and save and move on. In our next section, we're going to take a look at how we can actually send specific tasks to specific users by customizing the deferred status. So let's take a look at that. Here we're going to take a look at a potential linkage here. Here is Raina Sherman. As we look, we see that there are some gaps in the data as well as a different middle initial. So in some cases, not knowing the date of birth could be the difference between siblings, twins, parent, child. And we may have some disagreement across things like a social security number or whatnot. But in this case, the only thing that we really know is that these people are female and they have the same social, but there are some discrepancies between the rest of the data. A great way to iron this out is to see if there's someone on the team who actually has access to the registration record. Maybe they can pull up a scanned ID or a photo that was taken of the person. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and defer this, but our deferred status is going to be a specific type of status. And the engine allows us to customize what these statuses are. So instead of using the generic deferred, we could actually call it something like escalate to manager. I'm going to go ahead and apply that to these records and say something like, please confirm identity, note, missing date of birth, and different middle initial. Okay, and I'll go ahead and save that. If I log out of Inspector and log back in, but this time as that manager, when I log in as this particular manager, I could just go in and see specific tasks. So I'm going to come into the Resolve screen, and when I search for these tasks, I'm going to look for tasks that have been escalated to the manager. So this becomes a search tool, and I can see that several tasks have been escalated to the manager. Here we see the Raina Sherman task that we just had open a second ago. I open it up. I can see that there's a comment. I can look at what that comment says. Please confirm the identity, note the date of birth, etc. I then can go do additional research, see what I need to do. Now, in some cases, I either would resolve this task myself, or I may leave a note and send it back down to that same user. So in this case, I'm going to say confirmed with photo ID, same patient. Now, instead of having this an escalated to manager, I might send this back to deferred. I'm going to go ahead and save this though. And now you know a little bit more about deferred statuses and comments.